Welcome back to the 7th video on data and formula integrity. In this video we're going to talk about conditional formatting and only showing variances when we absolutely need to see them. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now we're back to the same example, March travel expenses. Over here we have the raw data, and then over here we have summaries of this raw data. And in this video we're trying to figure out how we can quickly and easily emphasize this variance only when we need to emphasize it. Let me go ahead and get rid of this ribbon, Control F1, give us a little more space. And down here in the pivot table, again, we have a grand total, but this variance says that we have a $1,000 variance between the grand total and this raw data total. Now, it's awesome that our sheet has variances, but it's not cool that it doesn't really emphasize it at all. Whether there's a no variance or there is a variance, the colors all stay the same and it's real subtle and you can't see it. So if there is an integrity issue, it's very difficult to tell that. So what I want to do is protect our integrity, and if there is an issue, pop it out with a yellow background or say like a red border. So that's what we're going to do with conditional formatting. We want to format this cell if a condition is met, such as this cell equaling something other than 0. So we'll put conditional formats to this cell and this cell. So now let's go ahead and make this conditional format. I have both of these variances selected, and we're going to go to the Home tab on the ribbon, go to Conditional Formatting, and go down to New Rule. This rule is basically saying like a new condition. So we're setting up a condition saying that if the variance is anything other than 0, go ahead and highlight it or format it however we're going to tell Excel to format it. So I'm going to go in here to format only cells that contain a cell value that is not equal to 0. Alright, so here there's no format set, so I'm going to go and set the formats. So if this condition is met, I want to highlight it yellow and turn the borders. Let's make it red and just on the outline. Hit OK. So again, this is saying that if the cell value of these selected cells are not equal to 0, so this one equals 0, therefore the condition is not met, it shouldn't be colored. But this variance is something other than 0. It's not equal to 0. Therefore, it will be yellow and it will have a red border. So let's hit OK and just test it. And perfect. This is exactly what we were expecting. This has a yellow background and a red border. Now this is awesome. Our variance is now emphasized and we can easily see that there's an integrity issue with this sheet. And it's really signifying this pivot table. So there's something wrong with the pivot table. And let's quickly just check to make sure that the pivot table is refreshed. So we'll go to Analyze on the ribbon here and click Refresh. And it was just as easy as refreshing the data. We no longer have this variance. But let's go ahead and see what can happen if we start manipulating some of the data on the raw data area over here. So let's select this. I'm going to click Control Shift and plus, shift cells down, hit Enter, and I'm just going to copy this and add another line of data. Hit Paste. I see quickly that I have a green caret right here saying that there's an issue, so I'm going to carry this down because now that sum range is out of the range. And quickly you can see that there's now an issue with this variance. Both of the variances popped out and said, hey, there's an integrity issue. There's something wrong. Things are not tying out or reconciling. So at this point, we need to go in and you would probably start looking at the formulas. What's going on? So I'm going to open this up and I can easily see that, oh, my formulas just are not carried down. And it's much easier to go ahead and instead of update the formulas like this, it's just much easier to just undo everything here, go back, and instead of inserting a line like that, I'm going to copy here and say insert a copied cell or Control Shift plus and shift cells down. Hit Enter, and everything was updated with no problem, except for the pivot table, of course, because you have to manually refresh it. So let's select the pivot table, go to Analyze, click Refresh, and now everything's fine. That's the beauty of having conditional formatting on your variances. They pop out, you can easily see them, and you don't miss it. Your sheet will stay up to date and will have integrity at all times.